Hello, this is a video talking about osakaOS, which is an operating system that I made over the past 3 years, on and off, mostly off, right, but I've slowly edged away at to show to you today in a little sort of commentary video sort of thing. This is version 3.0 of the operating system that just released roughly like a week from recording this, and this operating system, it's a bit unique in a certain sense, right? It's not a normal operating system. It's not trying to be a normal, typical operating system like, some flavor of Linux or, something that's sort of like a Windows clone, just trying to, fulfill the basic functionality and needs that you would need from an operating system. This is mainly just a sort of creative, like little gay artistic project of my own making that I thought was pretty cool and that I've shared with a few people on YouTube for a little bit, right? And the main focus of the operating system is mainly on just designing things to be out of the box, so to say. Designing things so that they're unorthodox, maybe sometimes a bit unserious for, entertainment or just to fuck around and experiment with shit. This is when you boot into the operating system, this is what you're greeted with, right? You have this basic command line, device drivers, everything sort of laid out before you. The operating system is, I've designed it to try to give the users as much power as possible to do whatever damage they want to do, which is everything from, some would call that an excuse not to implement a user space. I would call that a creative vision, really, a creative vision to not have to do something like, implementing a user space would be very time consuming, and it wouldn't really fit the theme of the OS, and it's just not really much of a benefit to what I'm trying to accomplish. So it is a, pure, you have all access to the kernel, all access to the drivers through the commands. I could read and write to the raw hard drive drivers. I could read and write to the disk without any protections or safety mechanisms whatsoever. I could write over files. I can read and write to memory. I could do whatever I want, basically. So let's get started, right? So this is the command line. This is the text mode VGA interface that you get booted into. There are a few things you could do here. You can access basic commands. You could say hello. And it, prints hello, right? You could say, hello world, it's me. Print that exactly. You can do the files, right? It'll show you any files that are on the system. There's none on here currently since it's a fresh build. You can, there are a few things you can do in the command line, most of which are a little bit too complex, a lot of which is blocked off from the text interface because this is the single tasking mode. When we press the Windows key, now we're in the multitasking mode. Now we're in the graphical version of the operating system, which is probably like what you see, this is what it actually looks like. Sorry, I got a little bit of a cough, I'm sorry. So we can go to the tasks here. You can see there's currently one task, which is just the osakaOS GUI, which is just drawing, and managing the graphical front end. I do want to add tasks for the file system and networking, which are, very obvious things that any normal person would do, any smart person would do, but I didn't do them. Next update, should have them. But anyway, this is the multitasking version of the operating system. You can see we have a few icons here. These are desktop icons, right? Obviously we have the command line, which we're in right now. We have the paint program. We have a basic text editor and a basic web browser. For starters, let's go over a few commands in the graphical environment, like fetch, right? It just prints a little ASCII message that shows memory being used, the video mode. I forgot to change this, so my bad. In the graphical environment, we can see that we have a few interesting things going on here. So osakaOS does have its own custom font and has its own custom font system, right? It's a bitmap font. Each character is about 5 bytes of data, right? And there are options to print things as like header text or as in bold text, underline, italics, whatever, right? To really show off some of the text we have in the operating system, we can go to the text editor, right? And we could type whatever we want. We could say this is a file, right? We could throw a few numbers in here. You know, we could do whatever we want, right? And then we could go here, save, and then enter the name of the file. So let's just name it file1, right? We'll just name it file1. Then when we minimize that, go back to the command line and enter the files command again. We should see that file1 is now allocated on the hard disk, right? I should mention this very briefly. osakaOS uses its own file system, the Osaka file system, which is a non-hierarchical file system that is essentially, that works through association with these things called tags, right? So I could show you a quick example of that. I could tag file1 with whatever, like you would name a folder in like a, directory file system, right? Like, so let's say, let's call file1 txt, right? As like a .txt extension. Oh, whoops. I forget the syntax of my own commands because I'm a fucking moron. Let's see, tag. Well, we'll apply the txt tag to file1, like this. File1 tag with txt. Now when we enter files again, we'll see file1, and in green will be the tags of the file, right? And we could add multiple tags. We could say tag txt. Let's say tag documents, file1. And there we go. We see file1 txt documents. We can see we have the contents of the file right here. And this is basically how the file system works, right? Things are associated with tags. If multiple files share the same tag, they share the same sort of association, right? If that makes sense, right? But there's no directories containing files in like a tree structure, right? It's more so like just free association. I mean, you could sort of represent it as like a tree, I guess, if you wanted to. But another thing about my file system is that it's dynamically allocated, right? So, or dynamically formatted. When you format the virtual disk or a real hard disk, it's not, writing to the entire disk of, some given metadata or some given, sort of bytes and little snippets of data to segment it into certain sections or what have you, right? It's just formatting a specific section for that file and then creating that file, right? And once you delete that file, that format is completely erased, right? The way Windows work in osakaOS is that you could save and read files. Saving files is just going to save the contents of the program to a file that you name, but reading them might do something different from program to program. So in journal, we could enter the name of the file, file1, and we'll be given back the file, right? Our original data that then we could manipulate and save again and do whatever with, right? And certain other programs, reading in files might do something different, right? Reading in files might, for example, in the command line, reading in files will run the file as a scripting program. But I'll get into that a little bit later, right? So let's go to another program, right? Let's go to Paint. Now Paint, Kafka Paint, is a basic sort of like MS Paint program where you could, make very basic drawings in. So let's, you could do Shift F, select colors here and do Shift F, and you could paint the entire canvas, which is the size of the resolution of the screen, a certain color, right? So you can have like a nice blue shade going on here. Do like a pastel blue, right? And then you could change the size of your brush. You could change what your brush is, right? So let's do like just a normal brush, size 3. Draw a little stick figure. Right, this is a little guy, right? Draw him a friend. Maybe make him like slightly shorter. We could add different colors, so we could add let's do this little sort of wavy brush. We'll add like some pastel oranges in here. to the bottom, you know? Sort of layer lists. Right, that looks a little bit nice. You could also, there's a bucket tool. So if you wanted to color these guys, you could go like, okay, I'll select the bucket, then select the bucket tool, and just click inside the lines, right? There's also text options, right? So you select certain text, click anywhere on the screen, and then you just start typing. This is my drawing. Right, and then you click and drag across the screen to select where to place it, and you could press the up arrow key to change what style the text is in, right? And cycle through that. Header text, italics, bold, underlined, and we loop back again, right? So let's make it header text. Nice and bold, press enter. And then what else can we do? Oh, there's also transparent options, right? So you can let's create a transparent box here, right? Let's do this. Nice little transparent box. In fact, we could probably just do this and yeah, there we go, just delete it. This is a masterpiece, so I'm gonna save the image, right? I'm gonna just press the arrow here, save, and we'll just do image, right? Save it as image. Minimize, go to files again. Now when you save images in Costco Paint, they automatically get tagged with the IMG extension, right? So they are sort of given, well, extensions and, I guess, how would you call it? Directories in traditional file systems work sort of similar, sort of in tandem with one another in the Osaka file system. Since you can organize things by different tags, but tags also determine, certain special tags determine how certain programs treat files, right? There's also the draw pick command, where we're going to just draw the picture image to the background. This is how you actually set the background of the desktop, right? So let's press enter. And there we go. Now we have the background of the desktop. And notice how that little transparent bit is now actually transparent as well, you know, with the VGA driver, right? So, you know, these 0 bytes are not being written to, they're just being written over. Which is a cool little thing that causes some neat little effects here, right? I think it's cool at least. Now aside from that, we have the web utility, the Osaka web browser. Now this web browser is not necessarily what you would call like fully functional or really even, you know, semi-functional, but let's use the power of the hypertext transfer protocol to a very basic bare bones HTML web page that's fast and light and easy on the eyes. Right, so let's get down to business here, right? I'll do motherfucking website.com. I believe the IP is 70.38.95.141, I believe. Press enter. Oh, look, sending HTTP request, right? So that didn't work. Press enter again. There we go, right? And of course, here you get the header, the HTTP header content. Shows the last modified date, the content length, the server, the date of today, which I'm recording this. Press tab and look at the website, right? This is a motherfucking website and it's fucking perfect. Seriously, what the fuck else do you want? You probably build websites and think your shit is so special. You think your 13 megabyte parallax additive homepage is going to get you some fucking award banner you can go to the top corner of your site. Think your 40-pound jQuery file, 83 polyfills, give IE7 a boner because it finally has box shadow. Wrong, motherfucker. Let me describe your perfect ass website. We can scroll down a little bit here with the little scroll bar. Shit's lightweight and loads fast. Fits on all your shitty screens. Looks the same in all your shitty browsers. The motherfucker's accessible to every asshole that visits your site. Right? So, and of course you get the title of the web page here for replace the title of your window. So it's all very legitimate web browser. You know, I do have a DNS implementation. I do. Couldn't get it working in time. I did get real requests back in a Wireshark. Now, could I get those same requests to have, you know, be processed by the browser? No. No. Networking is not very fun to work with, really. It's really not fun to debug. And there's plenty of other networking things in the operating system that I could show off But for now, we've gone over the 4 main programs. Let's go over some different aspects of the operating system, right? Gone over the file system, the broad strokes of it, right? Let's go over something else integral to the operating system. Something else that's also very important to programs of the operating system, right? Let's go over IumaScript, right? You might have heard me before where I said opening the command line, right, and reading in a file will execute it as a script. Well, what script? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what kind of script are we speaking of here? We are talking about the IumaScript scripting language, which is a weakly typed programming language that basically takes commands of osakaOS and executes them sequentially. Let's open up our text editor here. All right, let's open up our text editor. Let's put in a few commands. All right, let's say hello. All right, let's say goodbye. You know, no, actually, in between that, let's say, let's print out the current tasks, and we'll say goodbye. Right, and this is going to be our first basic script. So we'll save as script. Now notice how in the journal text editor, commands, recognize commands are given the special blue, bold highlighting text. And numbers are given the special bold green highlighted text, right? This is for scripting. This is so certain things are a little bit more readable when it comes to scripting, right? But I'll show you some other stuff as well. Let's just execute this program as an IumaScript program, right? So let's go. So we'll open up files. We got file 1, image, script, 3 files have been allocated. Let's clear the go to files, right? Now there are 2 ways to execute scripts. There is the single tasking way and there is the multitasking way, right? So EX executes scripts as like a part of kernel basically, because these what the fuck is this? 3082, holy shit, that's just, that's not supposed to happen. IumaScript exists within the kernel. It is just executing precompiled kernel code, right? It's basically all you're doing. It's very dangerous. You wouldn't actually do that in a real operating system, but so we don't want to do single tasking with that sport. Let's do multitasking, right? EXT scripts will execute it as a task, right? Hence the T. So let's press enter. And there we go. All right, let's compare the output to our original script, right? Oops, that went behind here. All right, so let's read this out, right? So we have hello, say hello, okay, that's what it did. Then we printed the tasks, right? Now during execution, obviously it's a multitasking script. We added it as a task, so now there are multiple tasks. We have osakaOS GUI, and we have the script, right? Which is just the name of the file. And then we printed goodbye, which seems, all seems pretty normal. Seems like a success in my book. But what makes this a programming language? Is it a programming language supposed to have like ifs and loops and all this stuff? Yes, it is, right? Which are commands not really used in the command line. They are commands. They are treated as a command of the command line, but the functionality isn't really used or extended until it's in the IumaScript runtime environment, right? So let's do this, right? How do you define a variable? Right? How do you define a variable in IumaScript? Well, that is through the var command, right? Let's say var num 12. Let's define a variable named num with the value 12. We could also define a variable string with a string literal, right? So let's say I don't know. Let's just call it osakaOS, bro. I'm over it, right? This doesn't really matter. And you see a little pretty italic pink text there. See, it's kind of, it looks good. For a small resolution VGA mode, this looks pretty nice. What can you at least give me that? It looks pretty fucking nice, in my opinion. Anyways, we define these 2 variables, right? We'll just type, just enter the variables again, num and string. Now let's see if num is less, actually, let's do basic arithmetic first, right? We'll save the if and the loops for later, right? Basic arithmetic, right? Equals. Alright, here's our script. We're just going to be saying hi, defining the variable x with 12, incrementing that by 23, then printing x again, then saying bye. File script. We're just going to execute script as a IumaScript program, right? So here we go. Oh, there we go. Hi. And that still has a value of 12, so it's just going to print 12, then increment it by 23. 12 plus 23 is 35. And we say bye. Pretty simple stuff here, you know? I mean, come on, man. Let's go on to a few more advanced scripting concepts. Let's take, what about if we want the user's input, right? Let's say this. Right, so IumaScript also has the capabilities of conditional checks, right? So we'll say save give input here, then we'll take the user input, which will be saved in the special variable called $input. If a variable is colored like this and it has a $sign in front of it, that means it is a special variable within the IumaScript runtime environment, right? So in this case, this is the variable containing data from the input command. And it's evaluating that data as a numeric value, comparing it to 40, and if it's less than 40, it'll just say so, then it'll end the program, right? So let's give it a quick test here, right? So we'll execute script, give input here, say 20, less than 40, end, okay. We'll execute the script. Let's give a number more than 40. Let's say 3,945. It's not less than 40, so we're just going to end the script, right? See how that works? See the advanced conditional checks and technology working here? It's pretty crazy stuff. All right, what's even more crazy is loops, right? So we'll establish some variable I. Initialize it as 0, and we'll say loop I less than, let's say 10. We're just going to print I. I'm going to say equals I plus 1. I'm going to increment I by 1. I'm going to say pool, which determines the end of the loop, and then we're going to say bye. You know, it's looping through this variable I and printing out its value through each incremental step of the loop, right? So let's do this, right? So save script. Here we go. File script, execute script. And here we go. Hi 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, bye. I'll actually show you something interesting, a difference between single tasking and multitasking, right? So let's execute script just as a normal single tasking script. We'll press enter. Here's me moving my mouse. Here we go. Pause, because it's, and there we go. There's the end of it. Just going to be printing up to 10,000. So let's execute the script and print up to 10,000. Right, and there you see it, plain as day, printing up to 10,000. Right, so one more thing with scripting I'll show off. There's one more thing with scripting I'll show off. Is functions, right? It does have the capability of having functions, right? So let's establish a function. Let's call it function A. We'll just say hello from A. We'll print out the files. We'll print out the tasks. Say exiting A. Then we'll say end, right? This is how you define a function in IumaScript, right? A function essentially acts as just a different type of variable, right? It's just a variable of a certain function type, right? Which has its own unique properties, right? But you can treat it as sort of a variable. And it's treated within the actual runtime environment as a variable as well. You can see that by the way we call A. So we'll say just like start. And we just call A by printing this variable A. And then we'll say end. And there you have it. That's basically all she said. So let's save that as a script. So let's test it out right here, right? We'll execute the script as so. And here we go. You see we say start, then hello from A, then the output of the files command, then tasks that are currently executing, which is just the GUI because this is single tasking, and then exiting A, and then end, right? So we can see that functions do indeed work. They're called, you know, the sort of function or the program pointer in IumaScript just goes from start, recognizes A as a function, then goes to the start of A where it was initially defined, executes there until it hits end, then it goes back to the return index, back to here, and then it just says end. Aside from that, don't want to get too deep into scripting. This isn't a programming tutorial for the greatest operating system ever made. This is just nonsense, right? This is just nonsense that showed me just how buggy my shit still is and how much I need to fix. So you're now familiar with the Osaka file system, you're now familiar with Ayumu script, and we're still recording. Yes, we're still recording, right? Recording. There we go, that's very good. What else do I need to show you? Well, there's an entire dimension to this operating system you've never seen, and that's what happens when you press the Windows key again, which is the Osaka's room sort of simulator aspect of the operating system, right? Now, this is still very much so in development. It's actually so advanced that it could actually time travel me to the year 2038. You can see right here, right? Yeah, this is something I wanted to add more to before 3.0 came out, but I didn't get the chance to. For the next updates, it will have more stuff. I promise you, it will have more stuff. There are a few things you could do in this sort of mode right here that we'll play around with, right? First of all, you could sleep, right? You could press the bed, you could sleep, and you could even dream if you wait long enough. So let's just wait for the dreams, right? Let's just wait for the dreams. Here it comes. Here come the dreams. Kind of need to fix that. My bad. The lamppost, right? That's something that still works. Now this is a little, notice how everything's dark? Well, if we go back to the main operating system, everything's also dark, right? Press files, look, everything's so dark and I can't see. It's like I have sunglasses on, right? Let's turn it back on. Oh, whoops. Turn it back on. There we go. There we go, right? That's a lot better. Of course, if we press a computer screen, we go back to the main desktop, right? If we press this little device here, this little apparatus, oh, we get a cool, crazy, whoa, wave command. We're all like surfing on a wave somewhere. You know, we're really tripping here. Let me try to find where its fucking hitbox is again. Hold on. There, oh, had it for a second. There we go, right? Oh, something that you can actually do within the normal desktop is that you can actually recreate this effect yourself with just the wave command, right? And you could just do it again and disable it. A cool thing is that you could actually apply this to individual windows. You can see windows in osakaOS have certain numeric labels to them that the graphical environment uses to identify them, right? Well, we could actually use these to apply certain effects to only the window as such, right? See, effect wave 0 is just waving this 0 window. If you create a journal window, the effect isn't applied. So we'll disable that. And there's another effect, one more effect, which is effect pixel, right? This actually just pixelizes the window, right? So we could type stuff on here. It's all pixelized. We don't know, it's censored. We don't know what it says. We just unpixel the window like this, and there we go. It's just a bunch of gibberish. And what's really cool is that effects actually stack, right? So let's clear that. Let's print out the files, and we'll say effect pixel 0. You know, let's also do effect wave 0. Whoa, now we got like a wavy sort of pixely censored thing, right? Look at how cool that is. Now back to the Osaka's room situation. This little chest right here has certain costumes, right? These certain costumes have the winter outfit, then we have the summer outfit, right? So you could walk around in blue, short sleeve blue. You could have a grand old time wearing this hard ass fit, right? Right. So let's press F. She cries and flies away like a little bitch. And then, whoa, what's happening? Whoa. We could also do it again, right? See if something different happens this time. Let's see. Whoa. Game over, right? See, that's how you die in the video game. And you can press the TV. You have a few options here. We have Home Network Media, which is what HNM stands for, which is essentially a way to have two osakaOS machines communicate with one another, or basically just broadcast the screen of one osakaOS machine to another and on a sort of like server client sort of thing, right? You set yourself up as a UDP server. You know, transmit. If somebody forms a connection with you, you know, you transmit your screen to them, and they could watch you walk around. They could watch you, you know, type away and all that, right? I'm not gonna set that up for this. This is a little bullshit little platformer that I still haven't developed. This is a little raycaster engine that you could walk around in, and it's supposed to look like someone made a comment on my video and said this is the hamburger room, and I kind of see that. This is looking a lot like a patty and some, you know, lettuce and onions and buns and shit, right? But this is supposed to be like the room that you're in, like whoops, that you're in, right? Once again, still need to do a lot of development on this. It's still very much so a work in progress, but you can walk around, right? You can walk around and do stuff in. But for now, let's forget about that. Cool thing about this room is that you can actually move objects around. Whoa, whoa! Look at me moving shit around, man. Look at how it stretches the cord, this infinitely stretching cord. Really reorganize the room the way you want it to be organized. Let's move the bed right here. Let's move the bong on the bed, because we're a fucking loser, right? Let's move the game right on the bed as well. Fuck it. Move the TV right in front of the bed. Computer right here, lamp, just put it in the corner. It doesn't really need to be there, right? What we could do is that we could click this little game console, and if we go back to the operating system, it's supposed to. I'm pretty sure it saves a file, a hidden file, that saves like the layout of your room, so that when you reboot, it should be the same. So let's test it out. Let's reboot. We just boot it back in. So let's click back to the graphical environment, and if we click Windows key, the Windows key again, we should get back to our room in the same layout. And there you go, right? So clicking on this little game console saves the layout of your room for next time, so you can really customize your room and really get, you know, all neat and specific about it, right? So it's actually Osaka Sim Summer, or I guess let's do Winters. Winters of Pinkland, right? And there we go. See, now we have little sprites that we could actually edit to our heart's content, right? And we could do Control-Shift to enlarge the image. But let's do a little bit of handiwork here. Let's change the color of the outfit. Let's say you know, hot pink isn't really our style. Let's make it a nice fucking pastel green. You know, let's make her hair something stupid too. Let's make her hair like fucking purple or some shit, bro. Fuck it. And there we go, we got the final finished product, the final finished green and purple product, which just looks like something very disgusting, right? But we're going to go with it anyways. One thing I forgot to mention about Costco Paint is that it has support for different resolutions, right? So you can have varying resolutions. They'll only, like, if you draw this to like the screen, it'll only draw what's in the boundaries of these resolutions, and you can't draw outside of them, right? So let's save this, give it the special asterisks in front. That's how the file system knows. I forgot about this. The asterisk in front of a file lets the file system know that it is a special system file and should be hidden by default. So now if we do Osaka Sim 0, we should get our final product. There we go. There she is. There's our little disgusting little goblin, right? So, I mean, you get the point, right? This is still a work in development. It's you know, this room is supposed to be a reflection of your soul. This is supposed to be a reflection of your soul. This right here, right? This entire living space is a reflection of you as a person and your standing in life, right? Some person on I think that I saw some video about, like, some guy made like an osakaOS video like a while back, and I watched it and read the comments just to see like what people thought, and people thought that this Brazilian flag was that I'm actually Brazilian, or that, oh, Brazil has like Japan's largest diaspora population, so that's why it's there. I'm not Brazilian, and I'm not making everything about this to be like some Japan thing. I just like Brazilian music, and I use it a lot in my videos. I sample it a lot. That's why it's there, right? I'm not Brazilian by nationality nor ethnicity. I am Latino by ethnicity, but I'm not Brazilian, right? What else is there to show in this piece of shit? Alright, so we got the web browser right here. We could show that we could read and save certain web browsing, certain HTML sites. So let's go, let's do that. Let's go back to the classic motherfucking website. motherfucking website.com. Here we go. We're going to save this as an HTML file. Let's just say web. Save that as a file, right? Let's open this bitch back up. Files. And here we go, web. Holy shit. I messed up, my file system is fucked up. But, see, we got this web file. We could actually open it in our text editor. Could read in web. And we'll see it's the original HTML file. See, we got HTML, we got the header, we got this comment. The site was made by the baritone. Don't tell my mom. We can also read in HTML files, right? So let's just read in the file web. Oh, it might not seem like much, but if we use a scroll bar, there it is. We're back in the website, back in it, right? There are also TCP commands for establishing TCP connections to different IPs. There's also the IP command that shows you your, basic IP data, your subnet, your gateway, the local IP address, whatever. So let's say, osakaOS does have some server functionality. So let's make a HTML sort of thing here going. Let's do HTML. Close the HTML. And this will be our index file. So let's just save that as index. Right, so now we got our index file. I'm going to use the web command on port 80 to start with index. Then we're going to open up Osaka. And then we are going to go to the local host. See what's, how do you spell local? Okay, there we go. Seems like nothing at first, but then when we scroll, oh, this is cool. This is P, this is I, this is B. Didn't add functionality for bold text in HTML renderer. That's fine. So, that's how servers work. We could do web stop. If we do localhost again, we get nothing, right? We just get nothing. But aside from that, I want to show you something cool. And to show you that, I just need to do nothing at all. I'm just going to do nothing. I'm just going to stand here. We're just going to talk for a few minutes, you and me. We're going to talk about, I don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't know how long this video is going to be. It could be like anywhere from like 15 minutes to like an hour, depending on how much I decide to cut out. This is osakaOS. In the summary, I'm not trying to go into every single detail and show every single command, but I'm talking about nonsense. Oh, there we go. See? Screensavers. I have screensavers, one of two, which is sort of a theme here where I only have two of something and pretend like that's enough for like options. But this just draws random lines to the screen, across the screen, right? When we move, when we send an interrupt, like move my mouse, for example, whoa, now all of a sudden it's gone. But there's also another screensaver. I'm just waiting for this new screensaver to come and pop up. Hope it's randomly chosen, so it might just be the same one and I'll have to wait again. But I mean, how unlucky can you be, right? I mean, you can't be too unlucky. I mean, one or two tries should really... I'll just sit back like the fat fuck I am and wait for this new screensaver to pop up. Whoa! See that? That's a 3D rotating cube. That is the greatest fucking thing you've ever seen in your life, man. Look at that shit. 3D rotating cube. Real 3D rendered cube. If you've seen my like videos before, or you've seen like the operating system before, there was a cube in the operating system before. On the splash screen, fake cube, it was an ASCII cube, it was a fake cube, it was pre-rendered ASCII, all print statements, it was horrible. Now I got a true, honest-to-God cube in osakaOS. That's my biggest accomplishment so far. The cube is the heart and soul of the entire thing, I mean, it's the entire purpose of this entire thing is just stare at a rotating cube over and over again. Because osakaOS is not limited to this puny 320 by 200 VGA resolution from the 80s, right? We go reboot here. Press escape. Notice in the scrub submenu, what? We got resolution options? Okay, let's click on resolution options. Whoa. Default VGA, 320 by 200 by 8. Let's go into multi-boot VBE video mode. Enter. We get this fat-ass, awesome, high-resolution cube That looks so fucking cool. It looks like something straight out of a fucking movie, bro. High resolution cube. This is actually really cool, though. This is actually really cool to see. Obviously, I like 320 by 200. I think it's a cute little resolution to work, and it has a certain charm to it that's not really seen on like super high resolution operating systems just trying to be modern. You know, you need high resolution for some things, and this is just one of those things. 3D looks a lot better in high resolution. Certain other things will look a lot better in high resolution once I get around to it, right? So we press enter. This is fully functional osakaOS, just in 640 by 480. You can do ASU fetch and check the video resolution or the video mode, right? Whoa! You know, all these things work. It's just high resolution, high resolution, high resolution. The web browser also works. The palette's a little bit fucked up. I still got to work out a few kinks in that. See, this is a motherfucking website. All in one line and glorious 640 by 480. And also like 640 by 480 is still a little bit broken. This is all we have for the room. In the next update, I plan to replace this with like something completely different, with like maybe a cool 3D room with like 3D models and shit, some sort of craziness like that. This is the operating system as it stands. Now you could just fuck around in and just do whatever you want in and play around in. You can read and write to raw memory, like look, oh look, that's okay. I'll write to memory 0 fucking 4. Or how about we write to memory 100 fucking this number, right? Fuck it, right? I mean, we're just reading and writing to memory raw here. I mean, we could just wdisk to like 512, sup, biatch. Now rdisk 512, sup, biatch. Well, there we go. That's not a file. We don't got any files. Actually, as soon as I typed in the file command, my shit fucking crashed because I just wrote over some like super important data. So if you want to fuck up the file system, you can fuck up the file system with whatever you want. You could read and write, crashing everything, and not really caring about safety or proper protocols and file handling or any of this other nonsense that these computer scientists try to tell you, these programmers try to tell you. You know, first of all, let's reboot this. Hold on. And now I can't boot with the file system because I wrote it over. All right, I have to do a clean because I wrote over the critical part of the fucking file system, the one part that's formatted that you have to keep on that one sector, right? Oh, and also there is stuff for like opening up files in text mode. This is mainly just like gimmick stuff I made first time around. There's a snake game. You could go around, collect points, right? I haven't played this in so long, holy shit. I kind of forgot this was in the fucking game, or in the operating system. Oh my god, look at the QEMU like fucking artifacting here with the fucking text mode. I died. Anyways, you can press Control E, Control C, Control whatever, right? File edit, Control C to exit. What else was it? There was the piano mode with the PC speaker that I don't have loaded right now. Control C, that's Control P. This is all in the help command too. You could do Control E, Control P, Control S, Control C. Control E is just to like read and write to files raw. Like, so you just, you know, if like some file is preventing you from entering the graphical mode, then you could just destroy it, right? Or edit it however you want. Because like there is a wake up file. If you name a file wake up, right? So you say like, say hello. Welcome to osakaOS. Could save this as just a file called wake up. Minimize it. Right, we got this wake up file. We press space. Whoa, look at this. We got a little error because of the formatting, whatever, right? Doesn't matter. Hello, welcome to osakaOS. We print out the files. Enjoy your stay. Right, so there we go. It was actually executing as a multitasking file, which I didn't know. I thought it was only a single task. Well, whatever, right? You know, version. This is osakaOS 3.0 by Leech Plus Software. That is a real thing. That is my company. We have a lot of venture capital backing us. But yeah, this is the operating system so far in summary, so to say. Obviously, there's a bunch of other stuff I could get into right now, but it's a bit too long. It's like what time is it? I've been recording for like fucking an hour. or longer even. I mean, seriously though, thank you. If you've watched my videos in the past 3 years, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting on Patreon or YouTube or whatever. The music for the videos I made will be releasing probably in a few days from this releasing. I'll put it on SoundCloud, I'll put it on Leech Plus, my website, so that you can download it for free. If you're on a Patreon, you're already able to download it for free because those guys get free stuff, extra stuff, ahead of the curve before everyone else. If you are so inclined to do so, right? This is osakaOS for now. I'll probably release like a small update in like a few months, maybe. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've enjoyed my videos. Hope you've enjoyed the totality of all this. More is to come. I don't really have much else to say. Maybe I'll edit something cool here. Get rid of this shit. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for being you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for using the operating system. Thank you for following. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for liking. Goodbye.